I've been writing a little bit more about Major League Rugby of late, more than I usually do, and it's mostly from the perspective of what do I tell young rugby players, collegiate rugby players, about the prospect of playing in that competition. And I care about what happens with young players. That's why I get involved with Next Phase Rugby, right? And I help make sure that high school players find colleges that are right for them, not just, it's a college where you go and you practice every day. What if you don't want to practice every day? What if you want to practice twice a week and enjoy your stuff, but still play actual games and things like that and get decent coaching and have a good family experience, Ultimately, that's the Major League Rugby thing as well, right? Are you having a good experience in there? And most of that is about the health of the league. And one of the big things after a really good talk with the new co-president, Alex Magleby, is about the attitude toward how they run the league, some financial stuff. And I think financial stability and financial health for any league is super important. Everyone talks about, sports is a business, professional sports is a business. Yeah, it is a business. And if you want to partake of that business, either by playing for it, working for it, being involved, or just following it, you want it to succeed, don't you? So a couple of changes that have gone on since the great reduction with all the teams that have had to pull out or stop operations. One is about the franchising agreement. So it had been that you paid money to get yourself a franchise, but you also paid money into the league. It was a part ownership of the league. That did two things that were negative. One being it put an additional financial strain on an owner to shell out some millions of dollars to be part of the league. Second of all, if that owner bailed out, that's a hit to the league in terms of their ownership profile, right? So they lose an owner, they lose some of that income, so that's all difficult. They're changing that. The 5 ownership organizations of the 5 teams that are not run by World Rugby, so Anthem is out of this thing. Those 5 owners that are currently there, they own the league. Anyone who comes in can start a franchise, but they're not going to have to pay in to own the league. They're not going to be doing that. It's going to be run by the 5 who are around, which I think is fair because they've been around saying, hey, we're pretty successful with this. We know what we're doing. We're stable. They've succeeded partly because they understood certain things about what they do. That's very important. And I think probably a better move. Now, I had sort of complimented Major League Rugby before about how they ran a thing where you sink or swim as a team on your own. And that's true. I still think that's true compared to everybody, like the league, one person owning the league and therefore owning all the teams, which was Pro Rugby's model. Because you start to have problems with that one person, everybody got problems. Okay, so you pull out of that, but there are some other aspects too. There had been sort of historically a focus on, hey, let's put together a team that wins rugby games, which is a good idea, right? However, and I've said this to people, if I were starting a Major League Rugby team, I would not focus on winning rugby games. I would try to get a coach who understood that, yes, I do want to win, but if you have a bad losing season, if we're getting fans excited about the team and we have exciting players on the team and we have exciting American players on the team, then that's all positive. And I think that there's a bit of a shift now within the league to the idea that marketing is not a bad thing. Marketing for fans is not a bad thing. In fact, it's necessary, and it's necessary. It's something that teams do in Major League sports all over the world, certainly all through the United States. They market for fans. They talk about the fan experience. They change things. Here's an example. Can Major League Rugby do stuff like that? Sure they can. There are a couple of slogans or thoughts that Magleby brought up. One is, it's more than a match. And the other one would be the idea of a sense of belonging. Now, rugby is a sense of belonging. It's a sense of belonging for all of us. It's a family idea. We all know this story. You know, you go somewhere, you show up somebody where you've never been before with your boots. They'll say, yeah, come train with us. Maybe come play with us. We got a tournament this weekend. You want to come play? A sense of belonging. You know, we've got that global sense of belonging. If you go on tour, you go with Irish rugby tours all over the world, but certainly they go to Ireland, but they also go to France and the UK and New Zealand and South Africa. And there's always that sense of rugby belonging that connects all of us, and that's why touring is so special. We can make that happen for fans as well, even casual fans. How do you do that? Well, you make it fun for the whole family to come. You make it affordable for a family of 4 or a group of 6 or a bunch of friends to come and enjoy themselves and not get priced out of it with ridiculously priced concessions and ridiculously priced tickets. You get more people in. That makes sense. You also make it accessible. And I think that there are certain sports that really grew very well in America by making the athletes accessible. Make the rugby athletes accessible. And I've been to games where this has happened. I've been to a DC game where the players came around and they were high-fiving all the fans and talking to the fans. It was great. That's the sort of thing I think you should see more of. And it's very common in professional sports, certainly in professional rugby. I've seen it a lot, where teams move away from that. The more control a coach has over the accessibility of their players, the less accessible they are, and then the less fun everybody is having in general. And then a huge part of this is, I think the term Magleby used was the favorite son, the local player. Get local players on the team, tout those local players, get them involved in there. And that local player, maybe he's gone down to the Crusaders Global Academy. Maybe he's gone to, been through some Crusaders clinics and elevated his game. That's fantastic. But it's also when fans look at him and say he's one of ours. You want to get them showing up and doing endorsements for the local car dealership and the local plumbing supply and stuff like that. Have a little fun with it. Make sure that they are even more accessible, that their face is there, and you are talking about so-and-so went to so-and-so high school, went to so-and-so college. Doesn't have to be right on their doorstep, obviously, but it can be. So you will see, like, Chicago Hounds is talking about Peyton Wall being local, right? He went to Indiana, but that's still one of their people. That's a Midwest player. It's very important to have that, so you can connect that into it. And finally, predictability. And I think this is important for rugby all over the place. When and where. The most important answer, whether you're talking about the Eagles, getting on a USA under-18 team, I mean, even if it's like Panther Rugby Academy and you're an elite player and you're trying to get some elite playing opportunities through Panther Rugby Academy, how do you find out? Well, you go to pantherrugbyacademy.com and they tell you when and where. When and where is very important. Your local club, flag rugby down the road. When and where. Get that right, and always be when and where there. That's important. Potentially revolutionary for Major League Rugby is that they're going to have their broadcast schedule, and it's going to be the same every week. 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, there'll be one game on ESPN+. 4 p.m. Sunday Eastern, there'll be one game on ESPN+, and then at 8 p.m. Sunday night, there will be a game on either ESPN+ or ESPN2. So you go to ESPN, you'll find it. And that's, we all know, like, God bless the Rugby Network. I totally understand what they were trying to do. Worked with them a couple of times. But if you're not looking for rugby, you're not going to find it. Rugby Pass. If you're not looking for rugby, you're not going to find it. Peacock/NBC, Paramount+/CBS, ESPN/maybe ABC/Disney. Disney Rugby. Perish the thought, but if you are on those apps, or you on those streaming services, or you're watching through cable, you will find that. Even if you're not a big rugby fan, and you'll come across it. It is so important for to build fans. you get fans who can come across that and then like what they see. And one of the other things about the business side is to make sure you have product. Major League Rugby doesn't run all the way through the year, but there are people who work for Major League Rugby teams who work all the way through the year. So why don't you have more product? Let's expand that academy idea. We talked about the academy idea. Is that U18s and stuff like that? Well, okay, that's great. You want to work with grassroots rugby. US Rugby Foundation works very hard with grassroots rugby. You can give money to them and donate to them, and you should, and they build that stuff, but they also need helpers around the nation, and Major League Rugby can help them too. Players can be flag rugby coaches, and players can be youth or high school coaches. But you can expand that out into having that U18 season, maybe, like the U18 Academy. Get a season of games or tournaments in the summer that are hosted by the MLR teams, and that's also product. That's also rugby events, and you expand that out also. The women's game, right? WER is there. Is there either a partnership there or a way to make sure you have women's games that are part of the whole community, a sense of belonging? And then also like an MLR A League, whether that's incorporating the ARP, the Midwest Premiership League, what's going on the West Coast, sort of revitalize that a little bit, and have that happen, or you're just saying, hey, this is Old Glory A, and they're playing in some kind of competition. Any of those things kind of work. These are all ideas to say that they should be rugby at these places, in these venues, all the way through the year. We'd know all about them, and they would be the same every year, when and where. Sense of belonging, we all come together and enjoy that. Favorite son, get local people playing, and if they can't make the first side, get them on the A side, or get them on a 7s team or a 10s team, or whatever you want to do. And yeah, it's business. And I think the final thing is, we want to make this game entertaining. Make sure it's refereed in an entertaining way. Make sure it's presented in an entertaining way, because it's supposed to be entertainment. And that was one thing that Magleby said. He said, look, you know what? I think we're in the sports business. We're not. We're in the entertainment business. And that is true. Major League Rugby is in the entertainment business. And it's a business. And they should be thinking about enticing fans in, asking for them to come, creating enticements, creating local connections. It's also a little bit of a family thing. And if you develop that family thing, the business follows.